Hey everybody, I'm Sylvius and I'm back on Minecraft. So last time I introduced my creative world, which I called art, although I should probably rename that into building. Let's do that. Building. Alright. So I'm going back to my playground world, which involved my roller coaster and will eventually involve my maze. Now, in my building world, I started doing a little bit of work while the recording is off, because I think that makes things run a little bit smoother. So I did that again here. Now, I'm not sure when I last actually rode my roller coaster, so I'm going to ride it through the temple again, and then eventually we'll get to the new areas that I just did. Now, I know I did previously build this in the recording, so none of this is new yet. Although I cannot remember if after I built the end, if I had actually rode the roller coaster through. So, of course, I know we went through this. I'm talking about that last part right before the actual. So, we'll check that out. I suppose it doesn't really matter, because I'm about to ride through it at this point. And back in again. Sometimes it's fun to make your own roller coaster and kind of build your own bit of scaffolding or whatever. But it's also fun to use the already existing terrain. Yeah. Got a nice little thunderstorm going on here too. I can't tell if the sun's going down or coming up. Looks like it's going up, but I still can't really tell. Boom. Maybe at some point when I do when I finish this roller coaster of sorts, I'll figure out how to speed it up. That structure over there I recently did. So this is the part which was the last thing I did before I ended the last video, but I don't know if I ever actually tested it on video. So we'll do that right now. Shloop. Almost run out of steam there, I think. Bang. There's nothing in that sky. It is pitch black. I feel like that's not normal. Alright, so this is new. Unfortunately, it didn't work out exactly the way I wanted it to. There's a little bit too many black flashes like that one. You'll see more of those as we go. There's one, of course. Yeah, that issue with the corners is really annoying. I kind of wish that would get fixed somehow. It's also going to be a problem in this other spot that's coming up. I didn't realize it was going to be an issue. I probably should have, but of course I did not. So yeah, down here is when that'll start becoming an issue. Because it happens also when you go through the wall. It's interesting. It seems as if... Okay, good to know. Good to know that this needs to be changed. It seems as if the minecart can only take so much fire damage from lava before the minecart itself is destroyed. Which is kind of unfortunate, I think. Great. And, sometimes that happens. Oops, not that. Alright. We'll try the lava coaster part again. Why is the sky, pure black? It's weirding me out a little bit. Alright, let's see if I can, got through it that time. And that's as far as I get. So we will continue my little roller coaster. For now, I suppose. I think the next time I do a video in my playground world, I'm going to start working on the maze. And I will again do the same thing where I put a little bit of effort into the maze before I start the recording. Because there's kind of no reason to make you guys watch through that whole process. I do like to hear myself talk though, so you know how it is. I think I was reading somewhere about a guy who did like a minecart thing. And what he did was he just kept the minecart going in one flat direction the entire time, I believe. And I was kind of interested by that concept. About the sneeze. I sneezed. Alright. Oh, boy. Why am I sneezing all of a sudden? Do. Let's see what I'm kind of... Oh, good. More desert. That's not actually good. Oh! What? Okay. And I guess that's partially why things are dark? That's kind of weird. Alright, let's go into that cave. Alrighty. I should probably put down a power rail, I think. I wish these little flowers would not be in my way. Hopefully this isn't like an immediate dead end. Okay. It's kind of not an immediate dead end. Where's the... Ah, lava. I'm kind of wishing that I hadn't moved into here right now. Whatever. You know... Yeah, I'm kind of wishing I hadn't moved into here right now, though. Whatever. I'm sure I can figure out something fun to do with this, though. Put that there. You will all suffer the musical stylings of Sylvius. I'm sorry. Nothing can be done about it. It is your lot in life. I really wish you would stop slamming the door with all this might. I don't know if that's being picked up on my microphone or not. Alrighty. And it just keeps doing it. Like, how many times do you need to go in and out of your room in like a 4-second interval? There we go. I have, like, no coherent plan for what I'm doing right now, by the way. I'm just kind of going in random directions. Just throwing that out there. Let's see. Let's make my... quartz, whatever. Hey, look, the door slammed again. I don't understand why that's such a problem, but yeah, the door's just gonna keep slamming, I suppose. What's this way? Whatever. That wasn't actually what I meant to do, but it works. My family is a family of door slammers. I mean that both in a sense like we're angry, so we'll slam doors, and also in a sense of we just don't know how to lightly shut doors. I got nothing. I have no better explanation than that. It's just that nobody in the family is able to be like, I won't fling this door shut with all of my might. It's super annoying because my bedroom is right above the kitchen, and that's like where the primarily used door is in the whole building. So when I'm trying to go to sleep or when I'm sleeping, I'll constantly get woken up by people just slamming the main door over and over and over again. It's infuriating. Infuriating. Oh, I definitely need to put a booster around here. You know, of course, we'll test this before I, go to actually do it, but... Fly time. Oops. Alright, fly better time. I know, like, normal animals can, interfere with me trying to go, like, like a cow, for instance, is what I'm saying, can get in my way when I'm, trying to make, like, use a minecart. I wonder if a bat can also. Would be sort of annoying if that was the case. See what's down here before I take the train all the way down. Is it? Okay, it loops are cool. We can take it down here. I was actually looking for a cavern kind of complex like this so that I could make a section of the train that goes through it. I'm glad that I found it at an opportune time. Question is, do we want to go up this way now? Let's do that, actually. I'm gonna go up here. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, boom, boom. That was all just a pointless loop. That was my plan from the beginning, was to make that all a pointless loop. And then go in the opposite direction. Let's go this way. So what do we got over here? Lava flowing down that way. Some power rail there. Come to think of it, I forgot about this until just now. I gotta go talk to my cousin about things. It just occurred to me. It's annoying. I prefer not to speak to him because he kind of sucks, but whatever. Alright. Once I... Oh, look, over there too. Well, whatever. We'll go this way for now. Yeah, because we're going straight back down that way. Anyway, I gotta pause real quick so I can go have a conversation with him. Which is unfortunate, because, like I said, I don't want to. Dude, he owes me all this money for my phone bill. I don't know if I mentioned that in a previous video or something like that, but yeah, I put him on my phone plan, figuring I would, like, help him out with that crap. And he just never paid me. Completely blew me off. Alright, well this sucks. This is dead end. I didn't realize it at first. Why? Why? No. Oh, you suck so much. No. Oh my god. No. This is gonna keep happening? This is awesome. There we go. Yeah, you know, so like, moral of that story is never help anybody who's in financial need. You know, because like, I do him a favor, thinking I'm helping him out, and then he just, you know, never pays me. Ever. We're like, I don't know, 7 months behind right now. I mean, I'm still paying the phone bill. He's just not paying the phone bill. So, I made some distance there. Hold on a second, I need to go back up. I think that's the direction I came from. Yes, alright, so that is the direction I came from. So that means, well, I was gonna go that way, but that's an ocean. So, we'll be going that way instead. Whoops. Alright, I'm gonna pause here and go talk to that guy. 1 second. Pause. Well, I'm back. And I do not have this week's phone. I can add that to pretty much every other week that I don't have a phone bill for. Hurrah! Man. So this is gonna be like a minor problem, but like, my Minecraft videos definitely do not get the same amount of views as my Tibia videos do, although It's also debatable whether any of the people that are watching my YouTube videos are watching it to hear me talk. Regardless, though, I kind of like don't want to talk about the same thing like in multiple videos because it'll be a repeat for anybody who does watch both. And I know there's at least some overlap between like who's watching what. So I kind of don't want to mention this here, but I'll mention it anyway. And I guess I will repeat myself at some point. So for a while, I was on my my aunt's phone plan. This is like when I first got out of school, right? Like, I was fresh out of high school, you know. So and I was living with my aunt and my grandmother. She lived with my grandmother, and like she helped me get my job and everything. So like, you know, she's helping me out with all this stuff. So she gets me this phone, right? It's like a half smartphone, not a touch screen. It was like very limited. This was before I think the iPhone came out and like revolutionized everything. Whatever, right? So she gets me this phone. It was a pretty sick phone, though. I enjoyed it. It was an LG something, but I can't remember what. Anyway, so she gets me this phone, and I'm like, so what are the, like, you know, options? Because I've heard the horror stories of people, like, not realizing that they don't get free text or things like that, and then being like, my bill's $9,000 somehow. What? So, you know, I didn't want that to happen. So we had, like, I don't know, a certain amount of minutes that I don't remember, and then we had unlimited texting and, like, a very small amount of data. But this was also when, like, your phones couldn't really utilize the internet well in the first place. And, you know, like, 3G speeds were, like, a joke. So not having a lot of internet wasn't, like, a huge issue. So this is, like, my first real phone. So I start getting on it, and I'm like, I'm texting a lot more than I thought I was going to text. Part of it was, like, when you just have the ability to text, it's a lot easier to be like, you know, send a text message just like, lol, or like, what you doing, and things like that. And just knowing that I had the capacity to text made me way more willing to send, like, stupid text. So after, like, I don't know, 6 months of this or something like that, and she had me paying her, like, a certain amount of money each month for the phone bill. And I'm not going to complain about that. Because it was, like, a good deal and everything, too. But, so what would happen is I would consistently forget to pay her. And then she would wait until the absolute, like, last minute to be like, the phone bill is due tomorrow. And, she also had it set to, like, direct, like, auto pay options and stuff like that. So it wasn't like she was actually waiting on me for the money or anything along those lines. She was just, you know, being like, I'm going to wait until the due date for this money and then get angry at Sylvius and be like, why haven't you paid me? So, and then, okay, so what would happen is, I'd have to go, because, like, I don't write checks. Checks are lame. Oh, hey, look. Let's go this way. Well, anyway. So, like, I don't write checks. So I'd have to go to, like, wait until I could get to work, and then, you know, use the ATM or something like that to withdraw money. So if she reminded me before I had, or, you know, when I wasn't going to work for, like, 3 days or something like that, it would be a problem. And then sometimes I would, like, go to work, and it would be, like, a really crappy day at work. This is when I was a supervisor at a grocery store. It would be, like, a super crappy day. We'd be incredibly busy. We'd have people calling out and stupid crap like that. What do we got here? Buckets, gunpowder, redstone. Why do I have stuff in my inventory? Wheat, horse armor. What do we have over here? Kind of nothing. Good to know. Awesome. I'm glad I realized I can do that. So anyway, yeah, some days we just have, like, a really bad day at work, and I, like, you know, I completely slipped my mind. I wouldn't have had an opportunity, really, even in the first place, to, you know, go to the ATM or go through the register and get some cash back. So I'd forget about it. So, like, you know, it's not like I ever didn't pay her, but I occasionally was, like, maybe a week late at max. Now, like, to be honest, like, I can understand that's not something you're happy about. But on the other hand, like, does it really matter all that much? Like, oh my god. It's a day late. And she has direct, like, auto pay. So she already paid for it in the first place. Like, again, what does it matter? Whatever. Alright, so this is just like this irked me so much when it was happening. Sorry, I need to, like, muster all of my mental strength real quick. Bam. So she was always, like, on my case about that. And I was always, like, apologetic and whatnot. And being like, I'm sorry, I just, like, you know, I forgot. And she's, like, all freaking out about it all the time. So she comes up to me one day. And she's like, hey, so the phone bill's kind of expensive, right? And I'm like, okay. Now, she has a tendency to, like, get all the bells and whistles when it's clearly unnecessary to have all the bells and whistles. And, she always gets herself wrapped up. You know how, like, same with cable providers, they're always like, well, it's $50 for 100 channels. But if you want 200 channels, it'll only be $75. So you're basically getting 50 channels for free in that case. You know how they do that, right? Well, usually after she gets off the phone with him, she's like, okay, so I got this bundle plan, it covers everything, and it's $600 a month. I'm like, oh, Jesus. So she goes to me, and she's like, alright, I want to kind of, like, lower the phone bill. I'm like, alright, we can lower the phone bill. She's like, well, what can we get rid of? And I'm like, alright, well, you can lower the minutes, because I don't really make a lot of phone calls. I suppose we can get rid of the, like, internet, because I don't really need that all that much. So I think that would be fine. And she's like, well, what about the texting? I'm like, don't get rid of the texting. I text all the time. Like, I love texting. I'm surprised at how often I text. Ooh, let's go over there. So, she's like, okay. I'm like, alright, so anyway, you know, just keep me appraised of what you do. So now, this is where the story diverges, sort of. Now, I should mention that I have a really good sense of memory, alright? I'm talking really good. Crap. I remember pretty much everything that I experience or see. Crap. Double crap. Now, I might not always be able to, like, immediately recall what it is that we're talking about, but, like, if you say to me something, I will at the very least remember that you said something at me. Now, maybe I won't remember exactly what the topic of the conversation was, but I will remember that me and you spoke about something last Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? I have a really good sense of memory. Now, according to her, she came in and said to me, hey, I got off the phone with AT&T. I think we had AT&T then. I honestly don't know. Anyway, so she claimed she came into my room and said to me, I removed the unlimited texting option. Just so you're aware. I have no recollection of her ever saying that. Ever. She claims that I wasn't paying attention because I was, like, playing a video game or something like that, to which I respond, maybe you should have made sure I was paying attention when you tell me important things like that. But even then, usually when I still can't, like, acknowledge what you're telling me, I still remember that the conversation happened. Even if I'm, like... Because, you know, I forgot some, like, homework before and things like that, where a teacher was like, remember I told you had to do that book report by Friday? And I've been like, crap, I forgot. I do remember you saying that now, but I forgot until just now, kind of thing. So she's like... So I think she never told me. She's convinced she told me. Whatever. I still feel like it's partially her fault, though, because you should definitely make sure. She's like, and because she's like, you know, you did that thing where you just, and I'm like, yo, if I was doing that thing where you know that I wasn't paying attention to you, maybe you should have double-checked. Maybe you should have double-checked. She, of course, did not double-check. So she removed the unlimited... Whoops. Whoops. That was not right. She removed the unlimited texting option from our plan. And then did not accurately make sure I was aware of that fact. Now you can... I bet you can guess what happens. Come on, try it. I bet somebody can guess. Well, so I keep texting. Because, you know, I was like, wow, I text a lot more than I thought I would. So, I ring up, like, I don't know, $100 worth of overcharges in the month. She, doesn't check her bill, though, because it's on autopay, right? So, doesn't realize that I rang up $100 worth of overcharges for texting. So then the second month comes around. I ring up, like, another $100 worth of texting overcharges. And she doesn't check it because, again, her bill's on autopay. So it isn't until, like, 4 or 5 months later where she realizes what had happened. And she's like, oh my god! Like, we owe so much on these bills! And then she comes over to me and she's like, you owe me like $550. And I'm like, no I don't! I don't have that kind of money. I'm working in a grocery store, I can't just give you $500. She's like, well, you're the one that rang up the bill. I'm like, yo, if I rang up the bill, it's because you didn't tell me anything. And why did it take you 3 or 4 or 5 months to figure out I was ringing up the bill? She's like, well, I don't have it on autopay, but I gave you the password so you could get on and check. I'm like, why would I check? It's on autopay. I give you the money in person, and you have it set to autopay. There's no reason for me to go online and check. She's like, well, if you would have checked, we wouldn't have had this problem. I'm like, if you would have checked, we wouldn't have had this problem either. Don't be trying to blame this on me, lady. You're the stupid one that removed the texting. So she's like, you gotta give me the $500. I'm like, look, there's no way I can give you $500. I told you not to remove the unlimited texting. You removed the unlimited texting. You didn't tell me. She's like, I told you. I'm like, alright, well, you didn't make sure I'd hear it, and I'm almost positive you didn't tell me. But whatever, we'll go with the you told me. I'm like, look, I don't have that much money. I can pay like half of it. She's like, no, you have to pay all of it. I'm like, I can't pay all of it, and I'm not gonna pay all of it. She's like, well, you're gonna have to get off the plan then. I'm like, what do you mean? What? I'm like, fine, I'll get off the plan. She's like, well, you still gotta pay me the money. I'm like, I'm not giving you the money. She's like, well, then you can't use the phone then until I'm like, you know what? Fine, I won't use the phone. She's like, well, give me back the phone. I'm like, I'll give you back the phone. So it was like it was a flip phone, but instead of flipping up, it flipped like sideways. So I take it and I just snap it in half, right? I snap it completely in half, and then I have a battle axe in my room, so I put it on like a metal chair, like a folding chair, and I just go with the battle axe, like that's a two-handed axe, right? I just smack it down into it and cut that thing like clean in half. And I'm like, here's your phone. And then she just kind of like stared at it, and then I left. And I went back into my room. You know, like, I know some people will think that was maybe a little bit over the top, but like, sometimes you gotta go crazy like that to tell people that you don't take no crap. Because, you know, once you use a battle axe to destroy a phone once, people will learn their lesson. No, I mean, in the case, the lesson was never let me on her phone plan again. But again, like, whatever. I don't think I should have had to pay that. I mean, like, to be fair. even if she had said something to me about it, and we want to say that, you know, her responsibility ends at making sure that I'm awake and that I've heard the words and not that I've, like, comprehended the words because I was, like, not paying attention. Even if we want to pretend that's, like, 100% my fault, I still told her not to remove the texting. And also, she let this go for how many months before she realized the problem occurs. AT&T, or whoever our cell phone provider was, they were able to tell immediately that we were overcharging and bill us for it. So, like, there's no reason why she wasn't able to realize right away that we were being, going over and then tell me about it so that I could, you know, correct the behavior. I was so ticked off. Also, like, okay, so two things, too. So, she's always, like, she brings that up where, like, I wasn't paying attention to her. So, I was probably playing a video game, would be my guess. Now, you'll note that not all video games can be paused. Like, Tibia, for instance, is a great example of a game that you can't pause, because it's an MMO. But even for games that can be paused, like, I'm playing a game, I appreciate that you want to talk to me about something, but, like, I think it's rude to assume that I'm not doing anything ever, and that when you want to talk to me, I can just immediately drop whatever it is I'm doing and respond to you. I'm gonna go across the water. Yeah, like, take, like, another potential hobby. So let's say you were playing, like, baseball outside or something like that, and I'm like, yo, I need to talk to you, and you're in the middle of a game. I would have to kind of, like, stand around and wait for you to finish your game to talk to you. Whereas, like, she expected me to just be like, don't worry, everybody stop the game right this second. I know the pitch is in the middle of the air right now going towards the batter, but everybody freeze. Don't hit that ball, because we can't be running the bases. I have to go see what she wants right now. Especially when the thing she wants is like, by the way, we're, like, I'm gonna do the laundry later on tonight. Do you have any dirty clothes? Now, again, I appreciate that she's, you know, offering to do my laundry for me and whatnot, but, like, you know, again, let's use Darkwood. Irks me to no end. To no end. And then, like, on the other hand, too, with her, like, she's watching TV or she's, like, reading like, an article about how to, like, cook a casserole or something. She's into cooking. If I try to talk to her while she's reading something, she'll get super angry at me and be like, I'm reading this right now. I'll be like, sorry, I'll come back in 20 minutes. Because on the other hand, too, it is also polite to kind of finish the thing up that you are doing, if that's possible. I mean, obviously, if it's like a team sport, you kind of can't just be like, everybody, stop what we're doing. I need to talk to somebody else. But, like, okay, you know, I'm just gonna leave it like that. I should do that more often. But yeah, so, like, she expects me to wait until it's convenient for her to come talk to me. But when she wants to come talk to me, she expects me to just immediately stop what I'm doing. I can't tell if that's, like, her being, like, kind of self-important. Or just, like, not realizing that that's rude. Or if it's because she knows what I'm doing is playing a video game, and she looks upon that with, like, utter disdain. And she thinks that, like, playing a video game is something not worthy of, like, the time expended on it. It could be both. Because I know she doesn't have any respect for, like, playing a video game in the first place. I'm sure everybody who plays video games probably had that moment where, like, they do something incredibly stupid in the game, or, like, you know, bad luck happens. You know, like a creeper sneaks up on me while I'm not paying attention and blows me up or something like that, and you're like, oh, Jesus, God, you know, you're, like, angry that you just died. Okay, I'm aware that it's a video game, and I'm aware that video games aren't real. It doesn't mean, though, that, like, my time and effort put into the video game aren't real. And it doesn't mean that I'm not trying to succeed in the video game. So it's not like dying in the video game isn't something that's incredibly annoying to me. So, like, when I do that, a lot of my family think it's, like, awesome to be like, dude, Sylvius, it's just a video game. No reason to get so angry at it. Like, alright, you know what? I'm going to say that to you about your hobby and see how you like it. And you're like, oh my god, like, this book was so good, but like I have to wait for the sequel to come out. Dude, it's just a book. You know, it's like a work of fiction, right? It doesn't matter if you have to wait a little while. I bet you they would love that. Dude, I know your team just lost the basketball game, but it's like a real, it's like you're not a professional basketball player. It doesn't matter if you didn't win. Like, get over yourself. You're just playing it as a hobby. I bet, yeah, again, I bet they would love that. But yeah, so a lot of my family takes it like the one step up higher, where they'll be like, wow, you're really angry about this video game thing? I'm gonna like make fun of you and be like, you should stop throwing temper tantrums. It's just a video game. I can't, only like a little kid would get angry at a video game. Let me tell you something, people. When a person's angry, making light of what they're angry about and then mocking them is not going to help calm them down under any circumstances. Just for the record, okay? Now, if your goal is to just, like, upset this person and make them flip out more, then feel free to mock them and tell them they're acting immature and like a little kid. But, yeah, if that's not your goal, don't do that then. Because that's all you're going to get. Anyway, the reason why I brought up this whole my aunt and the phone bill thing is because when I tell her about the problems with my cousin not paying me the phone bill, she's like, see, now you know what it's like to be on the receiving end of it. I'm like, no, see, I mean, there's like a huge difference between these two situations. Like, in your case, it was, you didn't tell me you were changing the plan and then tried to back charge me $500 worth of stuff. In this case, I tried to help my cousin out because, well, I mean, to be fair, she was helping me out. But I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to help my cousin out because his mom wouldn't do it for him, and his dad couldn't afford it, and now he's screwing me over by wasting all of his money on other things. Mostly drugs. He's addicted to, like, he's doing a whole bunch of drugs now. Well, like, yeah, there's a huge difference. I'm not a party in any sense of the word to him not paying. Like, I've got zero control over that. You changed things that I told you not to change, and, you know, didn't tell me about it well enough, apparently. You share some level of responsibility for that fiasco. I share none of the responsibility for this fiasco. But yeah, she likes to, like, rub it in my face. And that's the reason why I brought that up. Because unsurprisingly, having people be like, I told you so, is kind of annoying. You know what's funny? On the topics of, like, I told her so. I think I have, like, a realistic view on the world, right? And I think she, in particular, does not have a realistic view. She has what I would call, like, a feel-good view. So in her, like, mind, if something makes her feel bad, it's wrong. And if something makes her feel good, it's right. Even if, you know, that's not really the situation, how the situation works. As a, like, cliche example, the, like, would you sacrifice one to save 10 kind of situation, sacrificing one would make her feel bad because she would still have to sacrifice the one, so she wouldn't do it. She would think a situation where you have to sacrifice one is a bad situation. And she would look in vain for a solution to save all of them and then not find that solution and let all, I guess all 11 in that particular example, perish. I look at it in a, like, yes, absolutely, you should always, always, always sacrifice one to save many. I mean, unless that one is, like, you know, particularly valuable in some way. You know, like, I wouldn't sacrifice, like, one brain surgeon to save, I don't know, 10 drug dealers. Or something along those lines, but yeah, anyway. So yeah, she has that, like, really feel-good, like, if it makes her feel good, it must be right, and if it makes her feel bad, it must be wrong kind of mentality. So, God, it was like 2011 when the whole Arab Spring thing was first taking place. And it started off with, well, I don't really know what it started off with, but the only part that mattered to the American media was what was happening in Egypt. So she was like, oh, it's so great, like, those people are gonna, you know, be, like, free and everything, and democracy, hurrah! And I'm like, yeah, except, like, it's probably not gonna work. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, like, to form a democratic government, you kind of need a whole bunch of, like, building blocks for that to work, because otherwise it's gonna not work. It's gonna be like, you know, the democratic government we set up in Iraq, for instance. You can't just be like, surprise, here's a democracy. You kind of have to have, like, importance on, like, civil liberties and things like that. And it's like a series of beliefs and culture as much as it is just a government, a method of governing. So I said, you know, like, I think they're gonna, like, it's gonna be a problem, and Mubarak might not have been, like, the greatest dude ever, but, like, he kept things under control. You know, I mean, there's, like, some problems under him, but I think a large amount of those problems just comes from the fact that, like, Egypt was, you know, had a, like, tough economy and things like that. So I'm like, you know, I don't think just kicking out Mubarak is really gonna make the situation better. And she's like, I can't believe you would say that. Like, of course it's gonna make the situation better. All those people are just waiting to be free and democratic. I'm like, yeah, that's definitely not the case. So, you know, the protests, like, were successful. Mubarak was, you know, overthrown, essentially. And then, let's take a look at Egypt today. It's not looking so hot right now. Is it? The Muslim Brotherhood came into power and then got overthrown by the military. Now they have, you know, worse economic problems, and, you know, there's not a strong man there to kind of keep things under control. So yeah, here we are. So, I mean, like, yeah, after everything kind of went to crap after that, I was like, oh my god, I like, would it be inappropriate to call her and be like, I told you so? It probably would be inappropriate to call her and be like, I told you so. That did not stop me from calling her, and literally, like, after she picked up the phone, I started the conversation with, I told you so. And then she was like, what are you talking about? And then I repeated myself like 3 times, and then finally I told her what the actual topic of the conversation was. I can be as petty and as obnoxious as I need to be. Alright. We are going to ride my roller coaster back, which is going to not work at all. Yeah, you know what? That brings up a good point. This should be a two-way roller coaster, and it is currently very not a two-way roller coaster. So I'm going to go back and rectify that problem. I was kind of hoping I could just ride it back in one go, but that's definitely not how this is going to work. Although, surprisingly... Oh, for the love of God. Oh, Jesus. I got a little bit further there than I thought I was going to. I mean, but it was like glorious when I was like, I told you so. Man, I don't like being like I told you so. But whenever I'm really confident I'm right and somebody argues with me and refuses to see reason, it's very hard for me to not just be like, you know what? I'm letting you know that you were wrong. If I can give another example of a situation like that, so I got myself into like some credit card debt, right? I feel like most people probably have at some point. Not like a lot, and it's not like it's a huge problem or anything like that. So I was saying to her, I was like, well, you know, I have this like pig on my train tracks. I hate pigs. I hate pigs. You know what? I hate pigs. So, I mean, okay. So, it wasn't, like, that big of a deal. It's not, like, I'm not, like, you know, up to my elbows in debt or something like that. So, what I said to her was, I was like, you know, I have this credit card. And she was like, oh, well, like, you should stop using your credit card. And I'm like, well, if I stop using my credit card, it'll make my debt worse. And she's like, what? And I'm like, okay, well, see, here's how this works, right? You pay interest on, for anybody who doesn't have a credit card, or assuming that they work differently in other countries, you pay interest on whatever your balance was at the beginning of the month. So, like, alright, let's say today's June 16th. So let's say in June, for instance, I get a new credit card. Anything I purchase, and my billing period starts at the beginning of the month, the first of the month. So anything I purchase at June gets like tacked onto my balance. So July 1st comes around, and that's my new billing period. So I get a statement that says, all right, you charged, I don't know, $500. You have until August 1st to pay that off. If you don't, whatever you don't pay off, you get interest charged. So if you pay the whole balance, no interest is charged. Comprende? Comprende. Now, here's the trigger. Let's say my balance comes in, says you owe $500. I send them a check for $500. And then I spend another $500. Well, all that money was spent in the month of July. So when August comes around, I still have a balance of $500. But I paid off the original balance that I had only the month to pay before the interest was charged. So no interest is charged on that initial $500, but now I have another month to pay off the other amount. I'm like oversimplifying a bunch of things. Pigs. Pigs. Yeah, I'm oversimplifying a whole bunch of things, don't get me wrong. Barely got for that. So anyway, so I say to her, like, look, I have like expenses each month that need to be, you know, spent. To get out of my way. You stupid. Oh, look, it pushed another one. And this is why in my survival one, where I'm building the train tracks, I put fences all on the side of the train. Also to avoid creepers. Creeper feature. So anyway, you know, I say to her, I'm gonna have to, like, make these expenses each month. If I put them on my credit card, and then I take all of the money that I make in that month and pay off my credit card, let's say I make $500 in a month, and I'd say I have a revolving balance of $2,000 or something. That means I only pay interest, because I paid $500 out of the $2,000. I only pay interest on $1,500. And then, you know, okay, so I put in another $400 on my balance of that month or something like that throughout the bill period. But that means that for that month, I only paid interest on the $1,500, which was left after I paid. she's telling me I should not use my credit card and make all of my purchases with, like, cash. And then I'm saying, okay, I mean, I won't put an additional $400 on my card. In this example, I know this is like a lot of algebra math right here, but in this example, I'm spending $400 a month and making $500 a month. So I say to her, well, if I use cash, I'll spend $400 in cash and then only have $100 left over to pay my credit card. So I'll pay my credit card with that $100, and that'll leave me with $1,900 that will get charged interest. Versus the other approach where only $1,500 would get charged interest. And she's like, no, that's not true. I watched this lady on the TV that said the best way to get out of credit card debt is to cut up your credit cards. I'm like, see, that's running under the assumption that you can't control your spending habits. That is running under the assumption that if you have a credit card in your hand, you're going to go, oh, I'll just buy this thing on credit and it'll be fine. But if you were using actual cash, you would go, oh, I don't have the money, so I'm not going to purchase this. Now, I don't know if it's like those people have like other issues or whatnot, but I'm going to say I grew up almost never using cash, and I grew up in a world where you can instantly check your account balance and everything online. So, like, I don't need to keep a checkbook or anything like that. I always know exactly how much money I have. Always know exactly how much money I have. And if I don't for some reason, I know exactly how to find out how much money I have. So, you know, this isn't like a complicated concept for me. Sorry, I needed to, like, focus my mind. Focus your mind. Alright. So yeah, like, I know how much money I have, and regardless of whether or not I'm paying with a credit card or if I'm paying with, you know, a pile of cash, I know whether or not I can afford something, and if I can't afford it, I'm not gonna buy it regardless. For the most part. I mean, there's always, like, exceptions. There. Hey, look, it's a duck. Or a chicken. And it's in my freaking way. Dude, you guys can be everywhere. Why do you need to be on my train tracks? So she goes, no. I definitely know for a fact that if you want to get out of credit card debt, you need to stop using your credit card. And I go, well, I hate to tell you this, but you're kind of wrong. She's like, no. The lady on the TV said it. I go, look. I pull out Microsoft Excel. I make a spreadsheet where you can... It does all the calculations for you. And in the spreadsheet, it will... You can, like, add in what your revolving balance is, what your interest rates are, what you're able to make monthly, and what you spend monthly. So you can, like, fiddle with all the numbers. You can be like, well, what if I spend no money each month? And you can be like, what if I'm spending more than I'm making? Or something along those lines. So I, like, sit her down, I show her the spreadsheet, I go through all the calculations, and then she's like, well, you can say whatever you want on your magic spreadsheet, but that's not real. Like, that was an honest-to-God conversation that I had with another living human being. Like, she called math lies. I know a lot of people don't like math. You know, math isn't necessarily fun, and it can be a pain, but, like, math just is. Like, 2 plus 2 is 4. Always. Under all circumstances. 2 plus 2 will never be something else. Unless you're trying to make a point about, like, rounding and things like that. But you know what? Screw you for making that stupid point. Like, I think that's one of the, like, kind of nice things about. Because, like, you know, in English... or like literature, if you will. a correct answer can change based off of a whole bunch of other things, and certain answers can no longer be right all of a sudden. Like, things can change, and the answer might be wrong, or might suddenly become right. 2 plus 2 is always 4. If you answer anything else for what is 2 plus 2, you are wrong. It is that simple, and that easy. And there I am arguing that fact with her. Now, that's one of those ones where, like, when I prove her wrong, I would definitely be like, in your face, I told you so. Unfortunately, by, like, actually showing her the math and still not being able to convince her that I was right, I don't really know what else to do. I showed her the facts, and she was still like, I don't trust your facts, so... Nothing can be done about that situation. Alright, I think we go down this way. Oh. Crap on a stick. I gotta go do something about that minecart that's gonna be moseying on its way. I probably should have double-checked some of this stuff before we got to this point. My bad. My bads. Some oomph. You know, there's no reason for me to not just make the entire track out of power rail, but like that seems like cheating. All right. Darn. All these, like, turns are kind of, killing me. Of course not. Bummer. There we go. I'm surprised I had the power to get up that. Boop, badoop, badoop, badoo, 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 badoo. Oh. Ow. Oh no. Alright. I think that's enough complaining about my family for the day, so I'll table that topic for now, I suppose. Oh, but they're so annoying! Ah, oh, jeez. Probably would have been a good idea to look forward a little bit instead of just working on what was in the past. Loomfa, loomfa, doobity-doo. That is not the right path. Why is that there? Alright. Let's do this. I apparently put down a lot more railroad here than I thought I did. You know, I can turn, like, peaceful on to turn off the monsters. I would be really happy if there was a turn off animals also. Fun fact. You can't go backwards in this. I forgot about all the drop-down spots. Like this one. And unfortunately, those very drop-down spots are like a feature in a couple of these areas, too. I mean, that one I could, like, easily rectify. But yeah, right here, there's gonna be a drop-down on the other side of that. The brick area. I hate the sheep so much. Let's see, yeah, you can go through here. But yeah, there is going to be a drop down. Right up there. Where is it? Where's the drop down? Yeah, right there is where the drop down is. Nothing can be done about this. Well, I'll end this video here. I guess now that I've made my my train suck, I'm gonna ride it back the rest of the way, as far as I can at least. I'm gonna get back to the beginning. I'll ride the roller coaster at the beginning of the next video. And then never touch this roller coaster again. This has all been a huge waste of my time. LOL. I might do like a little bit additional work on it, but I think I'm gonna focus on the maze, just because I enjoy making mazes. And I've basically done everything I want to out of this roller coaster in the first place, so it's all good. I'm a little sad. A little sad. Yeah. I gotta drop down, I think. There we go. Yeah, you go way faster if you are running before you start. And then you suddenly go a lot slower if you crash into a bridge. Moral of the story is don't crash into bridges, kids. Yep, there's another drop down. And we're at start. Alright, folks, I'm going to end the video here. This was probably super, super long. Oh, that was a good stretch. I, like, popped my spine. Anyway, the next video, for at least the playground, I'll be working on the maze. So I'll see you guys later.